like screaming. Hi, ladies. I'm so excited for today's Masterclass Monday. I have the wonderful Kate Martin today with me, and we're going to talk about using seminars to grow your business, to create opportunity and growth. So if you haven't done an event, now is your time to consider one. We're going to tell you why you should be doing it, and of course, all the benefits included. So, Kate, thank you so much for joining me today. And can you go ahead and introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about your background as well?
Thank you, Kate. Everybody loves introducing themselves, don't they? So my background is fitness. I've been a personal trainer and done all of those qualifications, had massage clinics, qualified in nutrition. But since the age of 19, I started that, and I accidentally, and now I'm in the digital space. So I understand what it's like to work behind a computer. And I also understand the difference between the attention that you have when you have people in a room versus, well, virtually anything digital. And you know the stats of how long it takes a customer in their journey, of how much material they have to watch or read before they start purchasing and clicking your links or any of those things. And we can track that because it's digital. But what I realized when I started moving online in around 2012, I started making videos, much to my annoyance of actually sharing things. I thought I was late to Facebook, but turns out I wasn't. I realized that the seminars that I'd been doing every month for approximately, I started in 2002, and I started teaching other personal trainers things first, and then I started doing them in corporate health because my clients saw me doing the seminars with the trainers. It all worked out amazingly and created amazing opportunities. And then when I went into the digital space, I realized that there were things like everything that you guys are doing in the digital space, like creating lead magnets for the front of your website or anything like that. I had that material because it was the free handout from my website, from my seminar. So I just put it on the front of my website. So there were a lot of places where it doubled up. And then I also realized that it was such an energetic give, and a little bit of preparation and a lot of inviting to the thing. And because it is such an energetic give, the result that happened in the days and the weeks that followed was astounding, from joint venture opportunities to large organizations contacting me because they saw a photo of me on Facebook standing at the front of an aerobics room in a gym doing talk. So apparently I could talk. Yes, I can talk. But I also want to say that there are ways for introverts to do this as well, and you can just restrict it to a smaller group. So, okay, there are so many opportunities, and I think it's underutilized by professionals in the digital space because that's their expertise. So they stay there, whereas a lot of your customers are not necessarily proficient in that language. They don't know what all those things are. And so you're missing out on a large portion of the market if you were willing to even be interviewed live on somebody else's stage, for example. You could but what I mean is I'm used to interviewing people as well in person, because often people don't want to get on stage and doing summits like that. So yes, there was a crossover period in between there where I have built and started personal training businesses in that genre of health things, 11 different cities around Australia. And I've had, since 2012, short and long online programs and larger things like retreats and VIP experiences and those things, and realizing that those things actually give you the financial break that you need to help you outsource the technology, which I was never very good at, but I forced myself to learn. Does that cover my background? I could sit here.
It certainly does. It certainly does. Based on your experience with in-person events and online events, do you see a major difference? And is there like which one would you say is more beneficial, or do you think it's equivalent?
I think it's definite. There's a lot of differences. It's very easy to do an online event
Yeah.
Depending on, obviously, sorry, not an online summit where, there's interviews happening every day or every week and there's a lot of inviting. It takes a lot of energy, that's for sure. I think everybody gets to execute the version of marketing, which is what it is, that they find the easiest to do. Honestly, I do believe that that's a thing. But again, the attention that you have with people that are in the room, and then the relationship that you have with them afterwards, even if they don't purchase, they never forget that they saw you. If you think about any of the health professionals, or maybe a dentist or someone that you've had a consultation with, that person will forget you because they have so many of them, but you don't forget that time there.
Yeah.
So let's take the dentist out of the equation. So for example, it was a chiropractor, and I've had this happen with events. Somebody that I had taught and they had seen my seminars 5 years earlier was one of the attendees on my retreat. Not because she was on my email list, but because she hadn't forgotten about me from there. And then she saw the notification about this thing 5 years later. I'm very aware you could have kept that person alive by regularly emailing her and then her sitting and reading the email. But there's a lot of, because I come from the tactile space of a career and like in-person, face-to-face job, and there's a lot of those, they don't tend to be as fluent in the digital space. So they're not consuming as much material digitally. They're often not reading all of their emails, or sometimes they're downloading PDFs or whatever, but they're not doing them. Everyone downloads a free PDF and then doesn't execute the thing that's in their inbox. But I do want to say that the thing that you would give away will also end up being your lead magnet. So it definitely hits two birds with one stone. And when I used to coach other personal trainers to help them with their business, and then ended up being service providers, and then taking my digital team and then going in and helping them scale things, I still like to use that model for marketing, no matter what the business, often, including e-commerce businesses, because there's a way for you to be an expert in that space that might not even be about the product, for example. That's a random example. And for them to use that kind of marketing as a pillar of their marketing, and to do something like that in the community, for the community, once a month for a year. And I do want to go through, here is exactly how to do it. It's astounding. Definitely do 3 before you measure what happens. But yeah.
Let's dive into.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, please.
One of the stories that I wanted to share about an opportunity that was created when I moved from Sydney to Melbourne, and my baby was little, and I went into a gym and did a talk there. I would always get very busy as a personal trainer as a result. But something else that happened off that was somebody saw me and referred me to their client. And then I ended up doing an 8-hour professional development day on the topic of health for Yarra Valley Water, which is the corporation that runs the whole of Melbourne. So it was a very big day. And that was off the back of one free seminar that I did. We all do free marketing. I can't rate it highly enough. But that's because I enjoy it. But I definitely recommend you should have a go at it even if you don't enjoy it.
Definitely. That's one question I have, but you covered it. How often do you believe that, a business should be doing this? And you said once a month. So now the question comes, how do they go about creating these events? What are things that they should consider, and what are the steps that they should take to create these events?
So the reason to do it is because of the credibility that it creates. And credibility creates demand for your services, no matter what you're selling. Even if you change your market and your target and your niche later on, it doesn't matter. It creates demand for you. So I guess starting with a topic, knowing that you're only ever going to speak of the solution. So I presume that your Market K, everybody that's watching this, is in marketing already. So the title of it would be something about a solution for these people doing X. Now, I don't come up with fancy titles. I'm very much here's the name of the thing, here's who it's for. So it's like It can't be questioned. What's that about? For
Yeah.
example, a recent thing that I've been running is how to make short videos. Only we actually make them on the day. It's not a learning thing and you go away and do it, because we all know that it's hard to make short videos. It's actually hard to get them to work. It's hard to make videos. Short ones are even harder, especially speaking directly to camera. It took me years to get it. So I find that fun, but the title was called How to Make Short Videos. And then underneath that, in the description, we will be making them on the day. So there weren't people coming thinking, I'm not going to make them. The main thing to think about is that you're only going to cover 3 points, because you want the audience to be able to remember what they got out of it. The other thing that helps with lead generation as a result of doing the thing is that beforehand and afterwards, this thing, so the entity, the seminar, the event, it could be a very small event too, by the way. People often think, oh, I can't get on stage and speak to 100 people. That's too scary. It's not going to happen. This is not a Tony Robbins event. It will be a small room. Often, sometimes it can be something as simple as, let's have a coffee catch up and discuss X.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you can't find a place, have a coffee catch up. At the moment, there are a lot of co-working spaces that will enable you, even in cafes, to have to hire the room if you want to do that. I would suggest keeping the expenses low, especially to begin with. When I first started doing them, or I first moved to a suburb, a city or town, I do a lot of these so that I get known, so that when I do something, if I'm going to pay for a place, there's more people that come because there's more people that know me, or they've heard about me because of past ones of these. Yes, you can do the online version as well. Actually, you can film it, you can record it, and then it is online as well anyway. You can alternate between face-to-face and online, but that's what I recommend doing, at least 3 before you judge it. The lead magnet. So in the preparation of doing the thing, there's 2 things to give away. Obviously, you can give away my 5 points to blah, 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 for whatever your niche is. But then the other thing to give away, if you have time, is some kind of experience in your warehouse. So it could be 2 weeks in my online course, blah, 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 or a one-on-one consultation with me, or something like that. Now, if you're open to having consultations, and I understand a lot of introverts and digital people aren't, so that's fine, but it's only in that afterwards period, or if the people sign up for the thing, they can get the giveaway. So if people sign up for the thing, they get the giveaway even before they've attended the seminar. So I would usually start contacting them to give them their free thing and to get to know them and understand what they expect to get out of the event, which actually means that when they see you at the event, it's the second time that they've seen you, even if it's a voice message contact. And then you get them booked in for their thing. So I would often give them a one-on-one if I had time, or they'd get a free week or 2 in our group training, or a free week in the online thing. And then it's in that time that they're with you, you have the opportunity to have more conversation with them and convert them, if it's the right thing, into your products and services. I wouldn't suggest doing it from stage. It makes it probably not for a few years. It makes it feel icky, especially for females.
Definitely. I love the suggestion that you made to, have contact with them before the event. So you can use whatever you learned on the call with them, or whatever discussion you have with them, to address it. Because there might be someone else in the audience who had the same question as well. And I saw a quote today, which I was going to share today, and it says 80% of success is showing up. But when you do the event, you do have their full attention, because there's so much content online on social media. Everybody's constantly posting. So I don't think people are really consuming like me. I really just scroll a lot. If I see a particular word, then I'll stop on the post. But you can only consume so much. So these kind of events, you really do have your target audience attention, so you can definitely capitalize on that. And like you said, perhaps not convert them at the event, but it also creates different opportunities, as it did with you. You mentioned you did an event and then someone invited you for a seminar, which is really incredible. Who, well, would you say that this type of business model can, or marketing tactic can work for every business? Because you did mention e-commerce as well. Do you see it working for e-commerce, or whose business do you feel that it would be most beneficial to, if there's any?
Honestly, Kate, you know what it's like to work for yourself. It's hard. And it's one of those things where if you don't learn how to do the hard thing, then you really shouldn't be in business. And that doesn't mean that if you can't do the hard thing, you fail. Or if you do the hard thing, that you're guaranteed not to fail, because you just learn lessons, don't you? So I find it's, and coming from a fitness background, it's just one of the biggest things is it's building that muscle of resilience, of doing the uncomfortable thing. And then you realize, look, even me the day before these events, often I think, oh, why am I doing this? I don't want to do it. I hope nobody turns up. I don't want to do it. But then I do the thing. And because, again, it's such an energetic, it is such a give without an expectation that the opportunities come from elsewhere. The sign-ups, the clients, etc., come from elsewhere. But to answer the question in terms of, is there a better business? Look, service providers, yes, can talk on one of the things that they are already delivering a service on and being an expert in, but just know that you don't have to be the expert. You could literally hold a panel. The reason I brought up e-commerce before is I have some friends, and a lady that I don't know, as someone has been referred to me, I'm going to host them at the front of the room so that they can talk, so that if we were to do it now, we're not, it'll probably be next year, but we will base it around other online businesses. They can come and hear what these experts are doing for X period. So if we did it earlier in the year, I would say how to get your e-commerce business to make the most sales over Christmas, for example. And then we'd just literally interview them in a panel style thing. And the people that are in the audience, this would be a paid workshop. The people that would be in the audience would get something out of that. Of course, who wouldn't? Where I live, there's a lot of people that have moved here because we're near the ocean, and they work for themselves, and they work online. So there are a lot of those kinds of businesses. And I think because of the shift in COVID, everybody's working from home or / had the chance to do something as a side hustle. I also think I helped out at a friend's publicity media event the other day. And something that I've learned that the media would like, and this kind of publicity likes it as well, is if you do a talk on something that's got nothing to do with your business. So you could be contributing to, for example, you could be contributing to a friend has just launched, she's part of a book for sufferers for MS. Does she have a business around MS? No, but she has 7 other businesses, and that just gets her more exposure for those. And actually, she likes doing those things. And now she does realize that it does get her exposure for those other things.
Yeah.
She's in the book, it gives her credibility, just adds to the credibility. So I do think that you can do it regardless of the business or the niche that you're in.
Yeah. I think I saw a post on Gwendolyn shared a post, and it says that you are your business, like you are your brand. You don't have to talk about your business all the time, but if you show up and people get to see you all the time, it's like you just become recognizable. And they might like you based on something else that you're talking, and they want to support you and your business as well. So definitely does create an opportunity. Is there any challenges to creating these sort of events? I know you mentioned like sometimes you're scared to do it, and sometimes you ask, well, why do you do it? But are there any other challenges that somebody who's thinking about creating these events may encounter, and how to mitigate those?
How to mitigate the fear and just do it anyway. I would want to actually definitely to do that. Tell people that you're going to do the thing, which has been the biggest, that's been the 80%. I am a person of my word. If I say I have an appointment, I will show up and do the appointment, especially if there is fear of embarrassment by the community, because I said that I would do the thing. Now, even if nobody turns up to do the thing, it still looks like I did the thing, because I said online I did the thing and I turned up to do the thing, even if there was nobody there. which
Yeah.
has actually happened. Um, one of the things that sometimes can lend itself better to finding a solution if you have a conversation about it, which I'm happy to do with your viewers, is where do you do the thing? Which leads me to another point. I ideally recommend not collaborating with somebody else at the same thing initially, unless you're used to running events, because who gets to give the free thing to the people? Whose event is it? That's not a blanket rule. Of course, there are people that like to run mamas circles or those kinds of things, and they like to do it as a co-contribution thing. So there's always exceptions to the rule. I've completely forgotten the question.
The challenges that you might encounter when you're creating this. Yeah.
Yeah. So the space is actually the hardest thing usually, because people think I have to find the space, I have to do this, I have to do the other. So again, that's why I brought up the co-working spaces in the office rooms, cafes, because it can literally be, let's sit and have a coffee, very informally. I mean, you can make a booking, but I'm sure everybody has a favorite cafe, and if everybody gets a coffee, it doesn't cost you money. So I'd prefer you do it so you're not out of pocket. There are always event spaces for hire. But I think if you go straight into a paid event, there's a lot more stress around even setting up the tickets and then the payment of the tickets, the refunds of the tickets, the people attending and who's paying and all those things. So definitely recommend doing a few for free, but it's usually the logistics of the space.
Definitely.
Get over the fear of it. Just say, I'm going to do this thing on this date. Would you like to come? By the way, don't advertise more than 2 weeks out. People aren't going to not go on their world tour holiday because you're doing a free event. They'll come because they come, and sometimes they'll decide 2 days before that they're coming, and that's okay.
Yeah. Okay. What do you love about doing these events? Like from your personal experience, what do you enjoy the most?
In all honesty, probably the human connection, especially obviously the last few years. I'm based I'm near Melbourne in Australia, and we've had severe lockdowns. I mean, we're not a third world country, unlike where you visit a lot of the time. But so definitely the community events. I ran a coffee catch up towards the end, maybe the middle of the lockdowns here. And because so many people had lost their job, I thought, well, I know how to work for myself. I'll have a conversation with these people to tell them how to work for themselves if they want to.
Yeah.
So I had coffee catch-ups around that, and I had a little bit of a structure for the first one, and we went around the circle, introduced ourselves, talked about skill sets, and then did ideas. When we had a renewal thing a month or so later, one of the ladies, she had been cleaning houses, but she was also an artist. That's really what she wanted to do. Yeah. She was talking to a lady inside her. It's these things that are amazing. It's the follow-up and seeing how people's lives change. Yeah. She was talking to a lady whose house she was cleaning, and she made a recommendation for something that this lady should put on her wall. She commented on a painting. The lady said, oh, that sounds amazing. How do you know? She said, I'm an artist. And then she ended up doing a commissioned piece for $1,500.
Wow. Incredible.
Yeah. So it's the opportunities that it creates. Well, that in that case with somebody else. I mean, I've been in another opportunity is it's the flow-on effect of surprises is actually really fun. Nutrimedics Australia contacted me and asked me to be the ambassador for their health products or something. This was well over a decade ago. Again, the corporate health thing, I've launched a lot of corporate health programs because I go in and do the free thing in corporate. If anyone's watching this and they're anything to do with health or finance, it's fun. I like people though. So, but even if people are introverted and they don't get their energy from other humans, from a marketing perspective, you've definitely got to try it because of the lead magnet that you create, that you're forced to create.
Definitely. You kind of touched on this just a bit, you talk about some of the benefits that you received, but do you have any one particular win, so to speak, that you've gotten from these kind of events that you want to share with us, like the largest win, so to speak?
love telling the stories. Something that's, I guess, people don't realize there's your niche that you do, but then there are all of the side things that you pick up as a result of that accidentally as well when your marketing's good, right? I would, as a result of, it was the win was the beginning, actually. I was standing in an aerobics room teaching some personal trainers some things about the spine because I got very technical, and then they went from making fun of me to saying, how do you do that? So I said, look, I've done a course, okay? It's $20 a session. This was in 2004. I was teaching in the aerobics room. We went for 6 weeks or something like that. And I could see one of my clients walking past. This is in the gym, in a big box gym. And I hid behind the pole because I didn't want her to see me. And then she said to me afterwards, what were you doing in there? Do you think you could come and do that at my work? I said, no, I couldn't possibly do that from your work. I was teaching the personal trainers about spine and things. She said, no, I just mean come and do a health talk at my work. What? Oh my goodness. Oh, anyway, completely shocked. That was the turning point. Then actually I realized, oh, if you just actually offer these other things to your clients, that seminar in the workplace, which we talked a little bit about exercise, but it was more about healthy things. The crowd sat there and said, when do we do this again? Kate, this is great. I'm like, oh my God. And they pushed me along. And so that became a 6-week course. Then I was there for 12 months.
Oh, wow.
Every week. Yeah, every week. Now, the participants were paying, but it was $30 a head. So you do the maths if there's 10 or 50 people in there. Meanwhile, I had friends in the health space that had been trying to set up corporate health businesses, going in via via HR and whoever else is supposed to make that decision. And then you have to wait for the quarterly budget and the blah, blah, blah. And then I just walk in the door multiple times. Actually, I've lost count of how many times. So I had 2 corporate health businesses where we would run those things and events, to the point where my partner at the time left his work. He came and joined me. So that was another business.
Amazing. Amazing. Do you have any other points that you'd love to share with us about, holding these seminars?
Yes. So the how, I'm just reviewing my little notes here. So the how of how to do this using your own contacts. Obviously, you can put a post on Facebook and create an event and say, I'm going to do the thing, and that's great.
Yeah.
You can collaborate with these things and never be afraid to ask your own contacts. I think in the digital space, we go, even now I've got a lot to do with selling a SaaS product, as you know, because that's how we met. But people forget that they have a mobile phone, and in that mobile phone, they actually have contacts and friends. And, there's at least 10 people in there that are in your A circle of influence that would do something for you if you asked a favor.
Yeah.
I'm not saying sell anything to them, but what I mean is I'd run a competition because us personal trainers like those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And all of us would text 10 people that we knew, which would be clients. Now, this is a script, and I can give your audience or whoever's listening to this script if they send me a message. And it goes something like this. Dear Rachel, I'm going to hold an event on X topic for corporate people that's free, and I'm going to do a few of them in the next few months or something. Just apply that to your niche. So you might contact the people over here that you could potentially help, and it's free. Who do you know in your organization who is in charge of organizing these things? The wording's very important. It's not, do you think they would like to do it? It's not that.
Yeah.
That's the difference between asking people in your A group of influence versus strangers on the internet. Who do you know who could blah blah? 9 out of 10 times, literally, all of the group that I was coaching at the time with their business, the personal trainers, would text back, and we would see the string of messages of all the contact details that we'd gotten, and then they move forward with the thing. One message, like to multiple people, but one message literally. I really think that all of our businesses and life and opportunities are often one conversation away. And I
Yeah.
haven't even read that famous book. There's a famous book, I think, called something about it's not why, it's who. I can't remember the author. It's on my list to read. It's not why, it's who, and it's always one conversation. I think we forget, especially in digital land, forgets there are humans, and you can get to multiple six figures with those humans, telling those humans what you do, literally. We forget about our natural network.
Yeah, simply being resourceful. Yeah, I think we're like, so focused online, we kind of forget our circle that we can work with to actually grow our business. Okay, wonderful. Do you have any other points that you'd love to cover?
I do have a friend in, yes, thank you. I do have a friend in the digital space. She's got an agency. It's not a huge agency because she does most of the work herself. She's an introvert. She's very good at what she does. I know that she built her business by also doing local seminars for local businesses that might be, for example, on the topic of SEO, or on the topic of, the 3 things you really need on your website. Now, she now doesn't take clients that are under $6,000 to $10,000 a month retainer. And she's in the medical cosmetics industry, as in she does the advertising for them. So because she's so used to speaking, she goes and teaches all of the other people in that industry at the conferences. Yeah, so I'm watching it get applied in the digital space
As well.
Something
I know I'm considering it as well to do events, but I think before we got on the call, I was talking, I'm like more of a doer. I'm not so much good at speaking. I am an introvert as well. But I love to do behind the scene. And I do believe sometimes the thing that you're holding back from doing is the thing that will take you to exactly where you want to go. And a lot of people might be hesitant about, doing these events because, as you mentioned, there might be this fear of no one showing up. And perhaps all the things, are they going to do a good job? We have what they call like the imposter syndrome, where they don't feel confident enough to go ahead and do these things. So, listening to you today, I'm learning the different benefits to doing these events and creating opportunities. I attended, I think it was 2 weeks ago, time is flying, a networking event. And it was interesting because, everyone is speaking and introducing themselves. And I had a few calls booked after that event. And one of the calls that I had, or, when actually I've gone to different online events, and when I show up, people would say, okay, I've seen you before. Oh, it's good to get to know you because I always see you. And sometimes you don't know who's watching you, but they want to, actually build a relationship with you.
Mm-hmm.
And doing these events, it absolutely allows that to happen for that relationship building and that trust. So you get to nurture these relationships. So I definitely see it as, something that's very, very beneficial. Wonderful. So, okay.
So when's your next event, Kate?
So, okay, I'm gonna set up one soon. But I'm doing a lot of collaboration with other people. So, but as you say, you should do one yourself and see how it goes. So yeah, you know what? I'll take you up on that challenge and do it.
Okay. I was going to say I would often let my coaches out on, as long as they did an interview series or something.
Yeah.
It never had the same traction initially.
Okay.
So because online seems to be a little bit of a longer burn. So if you've got the patience, obviously it works.
Definitely. I'll try. I'll see how it goes. Great, wonderful. I'm so excited for today's call. I really enjoyed it, learned a lot. It was very insightful. And for those that are watching that would love to reach out to you if they had any questions on seminar building, or if they would love to help with their digital marketing, how would they get in contact with you?
We'll put a link somewhere near this video for them to book a call. I have multiple websites. I'm not sure which one to direct people to. The coaching website is probably the easiest, which is katemartinmentor.com. And they can book a call from there if you're listening to the audio version. Otherwise, there'll be a call link somewhere near this recording.
There is a link on this call. Let's see. Yeah, there's a link just above this video if you want to go ahead and book a call with Kate. It's a complimentary call for 30 minutes. Typically, that's what it is, or
If I've got time, it goes for longer usually. Actually, I don't give out calls if I don't have time to do them. You don't have to use that as a business model. I do literally like talking to humans. So if there's no time available in your time zone, please just send me a message on Facebook or Instagram or somewhere. I'm all over every channel.
wonderful. And of course, yeah, you can send her a message on Facebook as well. Kate, thank you so much for joining me today. As I mentioned, it was very insightful. Do you have any last words before we close out?
Just do it.
Love it.
Thank you, Kay.
My pleasure. All right, ladies, until next week, thank you so much for joining us, and I'll talk to you soon. Ciao.